and identified the money service businesses that may have transferred taxpayer funds overseas. Our team at FinCEN has just provided formal notification to these businesses that they are under investigation. These businesses had an obligation to comply with anti-money laundering laws, and they will be held responsible for any crimes they committed.
Wow, that is delicious. Finally.
This is the trust and the generosity of the American people that has been abused. And certainly there must be repercussions for this large scale fraud. Up to 85% of the Somali community in Minnesota are recipients of some form of welfare, and they are sending staggering amounts of money overseas, which begs the question, if you have enough money to wire out of the country, then why on earth are you on public assistance? Something that Scott Bessant himself speculated, and now they're making changes to the wire transfer process, requiring individuals to check on a box whether or not they are recipients of public assistance. And if they are, then that should be reevaluated and addressed, because then they are clearly receiving too much money if they have enough money to send overseas while receiving assistance. And if they choose to lie on the federal form, then that is a crime which itself can be prosecuted. These are necessary changes in order to stem the tide of the fraudulent scams that have been ripping off American taxpayers. Here's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessant once again.
And we're going to do enhanced surveillance. And from now on, anyone who wires money out from one of these money service businesses has to check a box saying whether they are on public assistance. And if you are on public assistance, we are going to start pushing that you cannot wire money out of the country.
Oh, so what if they lie and they don't tell us for public assistance?
Well, then
that's a crime, lying on a federal form.
We're going to follow it up, and we are going to push that you can no longer do that. The American people, our generosity has been taken advantage of.
Our generosity is funding al-Shabaab, an Iranian interest, it could be.
Well, the money...
I mean, this is really bad.
The money is supposed to go for alleged asylum seekers and their families and children. And if you are wiring the money out of the country, one of two things must be true. You are getting too much money and your benefits should be cut, or you are part of this conspiracy. Where did that money come from? We're going to find it out.
Victory.
This money, to the extent that it is being delivered to individuals in need, is meant to aid, assist, and enrich American communities. It is meant to provide assistance to American citizens and American people. And this country, we cannot afford to provide assistance to the globe. So if you are a recipient of public assistance, there's absolutely zero excuse why that money should be sent overseas. And if you are receiving money and you are continuing to wire it out of the country, then that needs to be stopped immediately and the assistance needs to be withdrawn. It is unacceptable that such a large degree of guests in this country are availing themselves of public assistance and then sending it elsewhere when that money is supposed to be used in American communities. If it is being sent out of the country, it is no longer benefiting this nation, which is the purpose of public assistance. And it goes beyond the public assistance fraud. There is fraud at every level in the federal government, certainly as it comes to grants to these various states that have been doled out. And now there is a new entity that is explicitly being created to address the fraud across the nation, beginning in Minnesota. And J.D. Vance announced this position. It will be a new assistant attorney general whose sole purview is fraud across America. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here for this. Here was J.D. Vance making the announcement at his press conference earlier this week.
We know that the fraud isn't just happening in Minneapolis, it's also happening in states like Ohio. It's happening in states like California. And so what we're doing in order to help coordinate this remarkable interagency effort from the Trump administration, but also to make sure that we prosecute the bad guys and do it as swiftly and efficiently as possible, is we are creating a new assistant attorney general position who will have nationwide jurisdiction over the issue of fraud. Now, of course, that person's efforts will start and focus primarily in Minnesota, but it is going to be a nationwide effort because, unfortunately, the American people have been defrauded in a very nationwide way.
Oh, yes! 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 Oh! Yes! 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 Yes!
Unfortunately, the fraud has been building for quite some time, but it was really accelerated and exasperated both by Donald Trump and Joe Biden under the last 8 years, especially starting with the COVID giveaways. You saw so much fraudulent lending that took place with the PPP loans, many recipients that had no business receiving federal funds. But when half of all United States dollars have been printed inside of the last 8 years, it's an incredible scale that is difficult to track and to provide that level of accountability. Unfortunately, we can't regain or we can't reobtain the money that has been lost, but we can stop the bleeding, we can stop the hemorrhaging, and prevent more fraud from being exercised. And that begins with the guests that we invite into this country. And if we do invite guests to this country, it should be because they are adding to the wealth, adding to the power, adding to the force and the benefit of the American country as a whole, which cannot be the case if 85% of your community is receiving welfare. Even if no fraud was taking place, which there is a staggering amount of fraud that is, 85% of a community being on welfare is frankly and very simply unacceptable, something that J.D. Vance himself reiterated during an interview on Fox News, and I'm glad he said it. I'm glad we finally have an administration, a president and a vice president that are willing to say common sense things out loud like this.
If you look at the amount of fraud in the welfare system, according to the statistics I've seen, 85% of Somalians who are in the United States, legal and illegal, are collecting some form of welfare benefits. So that's not to disparage the other 15%, but when you're at 85% of a population that is collecting welfare, that suggests that we have really done something wrong with regards to vetting, and that's the fundamental issue. Even if there's no fraud, 85% collecting welfare is way too many damn people collecting welfare, getting rich off the American taxpayer while a lot of Americans struggle. That's unacceptable.
It's morning again in America.
That is an unacceptable problem. The vice president is absolutely correct, and it does not make you a racist for noticing that this is a problem, and it should be called out, and you should not be afraid to speak the truth. Finally, we have an administration that is on the side of the American people and not on the side of third world fraudsters. Unfortunately, not all Democrats are on board for that notion. Thanks for listening to 93 WIBC, the Tony Kinnett Cast. I'm Ethan Hatcher. Producer Allison is on the board, and we got a lot more content on the way. Coming up next, we're going to discuss Tim Walz declaring war on the federal government. That sounds like some mighty treasonous talk to me from Trader Timmy Walz. Details coming up next. Stay tuned.
Harvey, this African safari is great. We planned just right, so we'll be home for this weekend's Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show out the fairgrounds. Yeah, we were smart to get outfitted for this here safari at the last gun show. Got big game rifles, scopes, custom-loaded bullets, crossbows, knives, even a GPS. Hey, what's that sound? Oh, bet he's after cheetahs. What, Harv? No, he's not with the IRS, you dumb bunny. You hear that? That's a rogue bull elephant, and he's starting to charge. Oh, I missed. What do we do, Harvey? Think outside the box. Well, I did. I just got a bullet out of the box. Give me my crossbow. Well, got him. Yep, he looks pretty sharp in his arrow shirt. What? He's still charging? Well, dang, Harvey, do something. Wow, with only a knife. How did you stop that elephant from charging? Oh, you just cut up his credit cards.
Celebrity voice and imaginary character impersonated. The Indy 1500 Gun, Knife, and Outdoor Show this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the State Fairgrounds.
Hey, you nip it! It's a new year. Ready for a fresh start or career reboot? At My Computer Career, prep for a more recession-resistant future in the high-demand fields of IT, cybersecurity, in months, not years, including AI. Whether you're starting out or switching careers, no prior training is needed. Attend school online from home or on campus. Go to mycomputercareer.edu to take the free career evaluation today. mycomputercareer.edu, an elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Join me January 24th as we sip some bourbon and talk about how we win the midterms. Trump, 1 year later, the Red Tie Gala, the highs of the last year, the lows of the last year, and how we win the midterms. midterms. We're going to drink great bourbon, eat great food, laugh a lot. Come join me January 24th, 2026, downtown Indianapolis at the Hyatt Regency. Trump 1 year later with me, Tony Katz. Go to tickets.tonykatz.com, tickets.tonykatz.com, or get your tickets right now at WIBC.com and join me for some great bourbon January 24th.
Nobody cares for you like family. Family Heating and Air.
Hi, this is Malia with Family Heating and Air, and as a mom myself, I know it's really important to keep the kiddos healthy. Air quality, humidity, those are super big issues on my concern list. If you share any of these concerns, give family a call, 317-577-8077.
Family Heating and Air is your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
The Attorney General's office wants to put your money back in your pocket. Visit indianaunclaimed.gov and search for yourself, your loved ones, or your business. It's fast, easy, and free.
We asked parents to share their journey of adopting teens.
They changed who I am because I can't see life without them in it.
Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. Brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Are you worried about your taxes? Okay, so I'm talking to those of you out there that have not filed in a few years with the IRS or state. It's time to get worried, and here's why. The IRS is getting back from their own COVID lockdown, and they're hiring more enforcers, and they're going to come after people that owe taxes. So if you're a 1099 worker, and maybe you just plain forgot to file your taxes, you need to call the professionals right now at the Tax Helpline. They are experts at knowing the tax regulations, and their goal is to help you pay as little as possible. Call right now and get a 100% free tax evaluation. Remember, before the IRS knocks on your door, knock on our door. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, make this free call right now.
Call Taxes 321 now at 800-808-9443. 800-808-9443. That's 800-808-9443.
Call today or go to bwindow.com and receive up to 60% off plus 24 months, same as cash, with 0% interest.
Because at B-Window,
we mean business. We mean business.
Trust me.
It's the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Welcome back to the Tony Kinnett Cast. This is Ethan Hatcher filling in, and I can't believe how quickly this broadcast has gone. We're already halfway done, but still so much to get to, including Timmy Walls, the traitorous Tim, attempting to stoke the flames, fan the flames of Civil War II Electric Boogaloo. I don't think that's going to turn out well for him. First of all, he seems not to understand how the Supremacy Clause works if he intends to turn the National Guard loose on the federal government. That's frankly not how it works. And then also, I don't think Timmy Walls would be able to fight his way out of a wet paper bag, let alone win a fight with the federal government. It's not going to turn out well for you, Tim. But yet here he was this week threatening to turn the National Guard loose on federal law enforcement officers in his state. Has not officially deployed them yet, thank goodness, but the threat is on the table. That sounds like some mighty treasonous talk to me.
Order to prepare the Minnesota National Guard. We have soldiers in training and prepared to be deployed if necessary. I remind you, a warning order is a heads up for folks. And these National Guard troops are our National Guard troops. They're teachers in your community, they're business owners, they're construction professionals. They are Minnesotans. Minnesota will not allow our community to be used as a prop in a national political fight. We will not take the bait. We will continue to update you, Minnesota, as we get more information.
It's treason, then.
Due to the laser focus on Minnesota and the revelation of staggering levels of fraud that have taken place in that state to the tune of billions of dollars, at least 10 billion, quite possibly and likely more, Tim Walz has decided to step down from his bid for re-election, but not resign from the office of governor, which he should do immediately. But even if he did, that likely will not be enough to save him from a Department of Justice investigation and ultimate accountability for his actions, which I hope are swift. But it's funny that now he is praising and prizing the assistance of the National Guard in 2026, when in 2020, following the Summer of Love, he had denigrated the National Guard and saying that they were a little better than 19-year-old cooks. Here was Tim Walz back in 2020 denigrating the National Guard, whose assistance he now demands. This is hilariously hypocritical, but absolutely expected from a leftist like Tim.
Mayor knew what he was asking for. He wanted the National Guard, and what does that mean? I think to the mayor, yes, I think it's a perception. I'm certainly not questioning that. I think the mayor said, I request the National Guard. Phew, I'm out. This is great. We're going to have massively trained troops. No, you're going to have 19-year-olds who are cooks.
What is wrong with you? Why are you blue?
So now he says that they're Minnesotans, they're construction workers, they're teachers, they're individuals who are sacrificing their time, talents, and resources to serve the American people and serve the state of Minnesota, praising their efforts and demanding their assistance to wage war against the federal government. But not too long ago, he was denigrating them and essentially calling them incompetent teenagers. Well, which one is it, Tim? Because you can't have it both ways. And make no mistake that Tim Walz absolutely is declaring war against the federal government. He was very clear about that this week when he said that this is the first time in American history that a governor has been at war against the federal government. And that governor is him. It's Tim, Traitor Tim.
And it's clear, look, I don't think any governor in history has had to fight a war against the federal government. Every single day.
Stop it, please, I beg you! It's a sin! It's a sin! It's a sin!
This is unacceptable for a government official, for a governor of one of the 50 United States to be declaring war against the federal government. We've not seen rhetoric like this since the days of the Civil War, and that argument has already since long been settled. We are not going to do a redo of the Civil War. It's not going to be Civil War II Electric Boogaloo. Thankfully, Tim Walz is stepping down and not seeking re-election. But in the meantime, this is a terrible lame duck governor who's escalating the rhetoric surrounding Minnesota, and he is also fanning the flames of mentally unstable citizens who share in his paranoia, and then causing interactions and left-wing ideology more broadly, causing interactions like the one that saw Nicole Good or Renee Good, I should say, making incredibly poor life decisions that resulted in her untimely death. And it's governors and Democrats like Tim Walz who share in responsibility for that death by stoking those fears. And you can see it's at every level in Minnesota. It's not just the governor, it's also the attorney general who is participating in the fraud. Dana Perino of Fox News revealing that there was leaked audio from Attorney General Keith Ellison where he was cooperating and conspiring with the individuals from Feeding Our Future, promising to leverage the assets of the office to stave off investigations into them. And shortly after this interaction, he received campaign contributions from these individuals who were fraudulently defrauding taxpayer assistance and generosity. Here was Dana Perino.
I think he's got a real problem because he might have been the first shoe to fall, but there's more coming. Because Keith Ellison, who is the Attorney General of Minnesota, former congressman who is a member of Democratic leadership, he is on audio, leaked audio, talking to these people, telling that he will cover up the investigations, telling that they'll tell the investigators to back off. So this resignation or decision not to run, not a resignation, but the decision not to run is not the end of the story. The fraud story doesn't end there. To me, it's really just beginning.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Please let this not be the end of the story. The Donald Trump administration has announced this week that they are going to be utilizing resources from the Department of Justice to investigate the connection between Governor Tim Walz, presumably between the Attorney General Keith Ellison and other officials in the state of Minnesota, and the enormous fraud scheme that was occurring right under their noses. Either they are grossly incompetent or they are outrightly complicit in the fraud that was being committed, something that seems much more likely likely when you hear that leaked audio from Attorney General Keith Ellison saying that he would cooperate with the Feeding Our Future fraudsters and marshal his resources to help spread the wealth, something that absolutely occurred to the billions of dollars and then personally benefited Keith Ellison in the form of campaign contributions from these individuals. Here was the leaked audio that Dana Perino was referring to.
Feel free to call me directly. And it is my goal to see prosperity among people who've been denied it. I think it's very kind and important for you to say that new American communities appreciate the sacrifices of people who come before. But we're all in this together. Right? You see what I'm saying? I think it's kind of you to say it, and I appreciate it, but we don't recognize no differences between us. We're one, and we're going to stand up for each other and make sure that we get some things fixed. Absolutely. I do recognize there's a problem, but what I really need to be effective on your behalf is to get specific. Absolutely. And it's like, this sister on this day is having this problem on this. And then I can call up and like, what is the problem? And let me tell you, just being able to say, just getting the question, just getting the inquiry from the AG is sometimes enough to make people knock it off.
He's guilty! You can see it on his smug little face! Guilty! I say guilty! Guilty! No!
From his own mouth, using his own words, saying that he is going to be the servant of Somali fraudsters instead of American citizens. This is gross malfeasance, and it is treasonous behavior that must be addressed. Thanks for listening to 93 WIBC. It's been a bit of a Minnesota extravaganza, but for the final segment, we're going to give you some pop culture news. Apparently, and I'll believe it when I see it, but according to reports, Disney will be announcing this month that the dreaded sea hag Kathleen Kennedy stepping down and new replacements on the way. But are they going to really save Star Wars? I doubt it. We'll talk more about that coming up next. Stay tuned.
Every 15 seconds, someone is diagnosed with cancer. If it's happened to you or someone you love, the American Cancer Society can help at every step of the journey. Visit cancer.org today.
Hi, it's T. Brian Hayes here from the Retirement Money Matters Show. Well, a new year is here, and that means a lot of change. Each new year brings new tax laws, contribution limits, plan guidelines, legislation changes, and many more new rules and laws we must learn and follow. Join me on this week's show as we will be getting you informed and ready for 2026 by sharing with you all the updated information you need to know. So don't miss this show. The Retirement Money Matters Show airs this Saturday morning at 6 a.m. right here on WIBC.
Without an Advent clinic nearby, people suffering needlessly from chronic nasal congestion and sinus infections would be stuck with either Band-Aid or Sledgehammer solutions. Band-Aids are pills or nasal sprays, and they're not true solutions. Surgery is a sledgehammer, and that's what we're trying to avoid. Because most people don't need surgery for nose and sinus issues, nor do they want a 14-day recovery. Our unique Advent approach can, in 20 minutes in our office, open your blocked nose for good, with only 1 day recovery. I'm Advent founder Dr. Kandula. Outside of Advent's four walls, invasive surgery is what they'll recommend. But here you will find effective and convenient in-office solutions to help you stop the need for Band-Aids and avoid the sledgehammer.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. Most insurance accepted.
A mi papá le dio por ir al parque, a hacer yoga.
Al mío por ir a un club, pero no de lectura, de salsa.
Encontrar nuevos pasatiempos viene con la edad.
A mi mamá le dio por no saber a dónde va y perderse por horas.
Perderse o desorientarse, no. La confusión de tiempo o lugar puede ser una señal de Alzheimer. Un diagnóstico temprano puede ayudar a mejorar la calidad de vida de su ser querido. Aprenda las señales de advertencia del Alzheimer en 10señales.org. Patrocinado por la Alzheimer's Association y
Amy
Ad Council.
Cox did something smart. She saved hundreds on auto insurance switching to Progressive. And with that money, she decided to treat herself to an anti-aging red light mask. Will she look like a horror movie villain every night? Yes. Will her boyfriend Kevin be scarred for life? That's certainly a risk. But it's Amy's savings, and if she's willing to risk her relationship for smooth, wrinkle-free skin, well, bye-bye, Kevin. Switch and see if you could save with Progressive and treat yourself. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Call today or go to bwindow.com and receive up to 60% off plus 24 months, same as cash, with 0% interest.
Because at B-Window,
we mean business. We mean business.
Being blind doesn't look how others may think.
Retinitis pigmentosa aimed to overwhelm my family.
It tried to cut me down. I know where to find support.
Donate today at fightingblindness.org.
A public service message from the Foundation Fighting Blindness.
This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Welcome back to the Tony Kinnett Cast. I'm your fill-in host, Ethan Hatcher. Been having a really fun evening this tonight with producer Allison filling in. If you've missed a moment of the show, don't worry. We're going to be revisiting a lot of these topics on my program tomorrow evening, Saturday night on The Circle from 7 to 9 p.m. I invite you to tune into the show and watch us on the live stream. But this segment, I wanted to discuss the possibility that is reported, that is all but certain. I think we've heard that before when it comes to Kathleen Kennedy, so I'll believe it when I see it. But it is, according to Puck News, Matthew Baloney, who has reported Kathleen Kennedy will be leaving her position as president of Lucasfilm, and they're going to tap the shoulders of creative director and CEO Dave Filoni, as well as the financial managing director Lin-Win Brennan of Lucasfilm to co-president the company going forward. Now, usually sharing power like that, having a power division, does not work out exceptionally well because you have a clashing of visions, but it can't be much worse than Kathleen Kennedy, although I don't think that Dave Filoni has an especially sterling track record. Of course, it goes back to directing a few episodes of Avatar, The Last Airbender on Nickelodeon that was well received. Also, his series Star Wars The Clone Wars was relatively well received over its run. But he's had some startling failures, including the absolute failure Ahsoka on Disney+, as well as the disastrous third season of The Mandalorian, which has pretty much killed that series off, and the disastrous rollout of the Book of Boba Fett and Skeleton Crew, both of which terrible ratings on Disney Plus, not remembered well, and have faded into a distant memory in cultural consciousness because they didn't have the lasting power or relevance of the original Star Wars product. And this has been a sad story with Star Wars since George Lucas had originally sold his flagship franchise to Disney all the way back in 2012, and he had even given Kathleen Kennedy his blessing, appointing her as the president of Lucasfilm. Unfortunately, she threw all that goodwill into the trash because she thought she was smarter, more talented, and better equipped to lead Star Wars into the future. Obviously, that's something that didn't pan out well, either for her or for the fandom in general. Her tenure has become a joke. She became a meme on South Park, her mantra being, put a chick in it and make it lame and gay, because Star Wars hasn't been entertaining since she's taken charge. The sequel trilogy of the franchise has been an unmitigated disaster because there was no game plan going forward. And this woman was given an outline by George Lucas of what he intended the sequel trilogy to be. She threw that in the trash. She threw the expanded universe into the trash and dubbed it Star Wars Legends. But nothing that has come out since has been especially inspiring. It has failed to generate much interest. It has failed to support what was a multi-billion-dollar industry surrounding it. I'm talking about books, comic books, video games, toys, conventions, all of that centered around George Lucas' creation, and she completely has thrown it away. There is no more interest. Much of the fandom has unfortunately walked away, so it is a good thing that she will be stepping down. Again, I'll believe it when I see it because we've heard these reports before. In fact, we heard them last year when it was rumored that she was going to be stepping down. And then, if anything, just to spite the fandom, she announced that she had no intentions of giving up control of the Star Wars franchise. However, I think that with the diminishing returns and the fact that they have failed to turn a profit with the material that has been given them and the dire straits of Disney in general, they're definitely looking for a change in leadership. But this is somebody who has absolutely thrown away every ounce of goodwill that was extended to her. So I say, good riddance. And she's far from the only individual in Hollywood that has thrown away every ounce of goodwill afforded to her. Another very famous example being Chevy Chase. And he has most recently resurfaced the rounds in social media because of this very rude interaction that he had with his own director of a biography about him, a documentary about his life, his career, and very rude to this film director by the name of Marina Zinovich, saying that she's just not smart enough to figure him out. What a jerk, producer Allison. Get a load of this.
I'm just trying to figure you out.
No, it's not going to be easy for you.
Why is it not going to be easy?
You're not bright enough. How's that?
Whoa.
Well, you asked. I know you're not going to put that on the air, and I hope not. But my answer is,
whoops.
I'm complex, and I'm deep, and I can be hurt easily, and I react spontaneously to people who want to figure me out, as it were. As somebody who will hold up my guard. I'm not going to let anybody figure me out, per se.
Hey, buddy, you need a ride? I was just on my way to the big doofus convention.
Chevy Chase hasn't figured this out in more than 40 years. Totally unlikable. I mean, and very rude to the person who's giving him attention, doing a documentary about him. I can't believe that.
From all the stories I've heard from Hollywood, it seems like that's pretty on par for him.
Yeah, that is very characteristic. It's been a long time in coming. One of the best insults to Chevy Chase and best insults of all time I heard about was when they got in a fight on Saturday Night Live with him and Bill Murray, who referred to him as medium talent. That is to say, talent that is neither rare nor well done.
Oh, I love it.
Ouch. Thanks for tuning in with me on the Tony Kinnett Cast this evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a blast, and I'll be returning to these airwaves tomorrow evening for Saturday Night on the Circle, 7 to 9. Stay tuned and take care. Bye-bye.
Totally changed my life.
It's amazing.
I don't have any cravings.
You want to quit, but have found it impossible? This is the thing for you. I have absolutely no craving. It's the darndest thing I have